The arena was silent. It was larger than any stadium on Earth, made of dark metal and glowing lines that pulsed with alien light. Thousands of seats rose high into the air, filled with creatures from many worlds. Some had scales, some had fur, and some floated instead of sitting. All of them were watching the same thing. A single human girl standing alone in the center of the arena. She was small compared to the place around her. She wore a simple gray suit with no symbols, no armor, and no tools. Her brown hair was tied back, and her hands hung freely at her sides. She did not look angry. She did not look afraid. She looked calm. High above her, 3 massive figures appeared behind a glowing barrier. They were the judges. Their voices echoed across the arena, deep and cold. "This is the trial of balance," one judge said. "By ancient law," another continued, "no weapons are allowed. The subject will rely only on natural ability," the third finished. A low sound moved through the crowd. Some aliens laughed softly, others whispered, few leaned forward with interest. A human, without weapons. Many in the crowd already believed the trial was over. Humans were known across the stars for their tools. Their machines, their ships, their weapons. Strip those away, and most believed humans were weak, fragile, easy to control. That was why this trial existed. The human girl had been brought here as a test. It's not just of her, but of her entire species. The judge raised one long clawed limb. "State your name." The girl lifted her head. "Her name is Mara Hale," the translator announced for her. "She is from Earth." More whispers followed. "Earth, the death world. High gravity. Violent storms. Dangerous life." Mara looked around the arena slowly. She saw eyes staring at her from every direction. Some were full of curiosity, some were full of fear, some were full of hope that she would fail. She felt all of it, but she did not show it. Another judge spoke. "You understand the rules. It's no weapons, no armor, no outside help." Mara nodded once. A screen appeared above the arena, showing symbols and words in many languages. One line glowed brighter than the rest. "Weapons are forbidden." The crowd reacted again. Some aliens cheered. Others relaxed in their seats. To them, this was entertainment. A human brought low. Mara closed her eyes for a brief moment. She remembered Earth. She remembered early mornings, cold air, and hard ground beneath her feet. She remembered training halls with cracked floors and bruised hands. She remembered instructors who did not care if she was tired, hurt, or afraid. On Earth, survival was never fair. When she opened her eyes again, they were steady. The judges watched her closely now. One of them leaned forward. "Do you wish to withdraw?" the judge asked. "Many before you have chosen to step away?" The translator repeated the words. Mara shook her head. "No," she said simply. That single word caused another wave of sound through the arena. Surprised this time. Even the judges paused. "You understand what is at stake?" the judge warned. "Failure here will shape how the galaxy treats your species." Mara took a slow breath. "I understand." There was no pride in her voice, no anger, just truth. The judges exchanged glances. Finally, one of them spoke again. "Very well. Trial will proceed." The floor beneath Mara shifted. Lines of light spread outward, forming a wide circle around her. The air felt heavier, pressing down on her shoulders. Gravity increased, just slightly, enough to test her.
Donna adjusted her stance without thinking.
Feet apart, knees bent, balanced. Some aliens noticed that. A creature with 4 eyes tilted its head. "She adapts quickly," it whispered. Another scoffed. "Will not matter. She has no weapons." Above them all, the judges watched in silence. Mara flexed her fingers once. Slowly, quietly. Her hands were empty. But to her, they had never been weak. The arena lights dimmed further. A deep tone echoed through the space, signaling the true start of the trial. Mara looked forward, her fists slowly closing. Whatever came next, she would face it as she always had, with nothing but herself. The deep tone faded, but the pressure in the arena did not. Mara felt the heavier gravity settle fully now. It pressed against her chest and legs, turning every small movement into effort. by HFY Center, Henry, per Blair and Enver. This was not an accident. High above, the judges watched closely. One of them spoke, their voice calm but sharp. Let the reason for this trial be remembered. The lights above the arena shifted, and the massive screen changed. Images appeared, old recordings, damaged and faded with time. Alien ships burned in space. Fortified cities lay broken, defeated armies knelt in silence. These are the results of uncontrolled weapons, the judge said. Species that relied on tools beyond their wisdom. The crowd grew quiet. Even those who had laughed before now watched with interest. Humans, another judge continued, rose quickly. Too quickly. Your machines spread across the stars faster than your laws. Mara stood still, listening. Her breathing was slow and controlled. For this reason, the third judge said, the trial forbids weapons. If humans are dangerous only because of their tools, then without them, you will be harmless. The words echoed across the arena. Harmless. Mara's jaw tightened slightly, but her face stayed calm. The images faded. The screen went dark again. This trial will prove the truth, the judge finished. Begin phase 1. The floor changed suddenly. The smooth metal surface broke apart into raised platforms, uneven and sharp-edged. Gaps opened between them, some narrow, some wide. Beneath was nothing but darkness. The gravity shifted again. Mara felt it pull sideways now, not just down. Her balance was challenged instantly. Round the arena, other contestants appeared on distant platforms, creatures from different worlds. Some were tall and thin, some were heavy and slow. Many had claws, thick skin, or natural armor. None of them carried weapons. A horn sounded. The first phase had begun. Mara stepped forward carefully, testing the ground. Her boots scraped against the metal. She adjusted her weight, remembering training drills meant to break balance and focus. To her left, a tall alien tried to move quickly and slipped. It fell into the darkness below, disappearing without a sound. The crowd reacted sharply. Mara did not look away. She moved step by step, her eyes scanning the terrain. The shifting gravity pulled at her body, but she leaned into it, using it instead of fighting it. Above, some aliens began to murmur. She is not panicking. She studies the ground. Why is she so calm? Another contestant jumped too far, misjudging the pull, and vanished. Mara reached the edge of a wider gap. It was too far for a simple step. She crouched slightly, feeling the gravity tug. Then she jumped. Her muscles burned as she pushed off. A sideways pull dragged her midair, but she twisted her body, landed hard, and rolled to absorb the force. Pain flared in her shoulder. She ignored it. She stood up immediately. The crowd grew louder now, not with laughter, but surprise. One judge leaned forward. She adjusts mid-movement, they noted. Interesting, Mara continued. Sweat formed on her brow, but her breathing stayed steady. She slipped once, caught herself with one hand, and pulled herself back up. Her hand shook for just a second, then it stopped. She reached the final platform as a clear tone sounded. Phase 1 complete. The remaining contestants were few. Many had failed. Some lay exhausted on their platforms, unable to continue. Mara stood upright. Soft glow surrounded her platform as the gravity slowly returned to normal. She felt her muscles relax slightly, but she did not lower her guard. The judges spoke again. Phase 1 results recorded. One judge's gaze stayed fixed on her. Human, they said. You passed without tools, without armor. Mara looked up. Yes. The judge paused. Do you still believe you do not need weapons? Mara answered without hesitation. I never said that. The crowd grew quiet again. Said I don't need them here. The words spread through the arena like a ripple. Some aliens felt unease. Others felt curiosity. A few felt fear. The judges exchanged another silent glance. Prepare phase 2, one of them said at last. The lights dimmed again. The platforms began to retract. From the shadows beyond the arena walls, something large began to move. No. Mara clenched her fists slowly, her eyes fixed forward. Phase 1 had been about balance. She knew phase 2 would be about survival, and the trial was only just beginning. The arena fell into darkness. Platforms fully retracted. leaving the floor smooth once again. A low hum filled the air, deep and heavy, like something breathing beneath the metal. Crowd leaned forward in their seats. Even the judges straightened. Mara stood alone at the center. Her muscles still burned from the first phase, but she did not show it. She rolled her shoulders once, slow and controlled. Pain was familiar. It was something she had learned to move with, not against. A sharp sound echoed. The floor split open. From beneath the arena, a massive shape began to rise. Gasps spread through the crowd. The creature was tall, almost twice Mara's height. Its body was thick and layered with dark plates of natural armor. Long arms ended in blunt, heavy limbs, built for crushing rather than cutting. Its head was low and wide, with small glowing eyes that locked onto her the moment it surfaced. "This is a Graxan brute," one judge announced. "Controlled life form." Controlled was a generous word. The brute let out a deep growl that vibrated through the arena floor. Its breath came out in clouds of warm air. Mara felt the sound in her bones. Phase 2, the judge continued, will test endurance and instinct. No weapons. No escape. The barrier around the arena sealed shut. The crowd was silent now. The Graxan brute took its first step forward. The ground shook slightly. Mara did not move. Some aliens whispered urgently, "She should run. There's nowhere to go." This is where she fails. The brute lowered its head and charged. Mara moved at the last second. She stepped to the side instead of back, letting the massive body rush past her. The creature swung one heavy arm blindly, missing her by a narrow margin. The wind from the strike brushed her face. She felt how strong it was, too strong to fight directly. Mara stayed low, circling. Her eyes followed every movement, every shift of weight. She remembered training rooms filled with larger opponents. She remembered one lesson above all others. Size does not decide a fight, timing does. The brute turned faster than expected and lunged again. Mara ducked, but the shockwave of its movement knocked her off balance. She rolled across the floor, barely avoiding a second strike. Pain flared through her ribs. The crowd reacted loudly. She was hit. No, she avoided it. How long can she last? Mara pushed herself back to her feet. Her breathing was heavier now, but her eyes stayed focused. She wiped a small line of blood from her lip with the back of her hand. The brute growled again, frustrated. It charged once more. This time, Mara ran toward it. The crowd gasped. At the last moment, she slid under the brute's swing, planted one foot, and struck upward with both hands into a joint beneath its armored plates. The impact sent pain shooting up her arms, but the brute stumbled. Just a step, but it was enough. Mara moved again, instantly, circling behind it. She grabbed a thick fold of armor and used her weight to pull herself up onto its back. The brute roared, shaking violently. Mara held on. She shifted her grip, pressed her forearm hard against the side of its neck, and tightened. Not to crush, but to cut airflow. The brute staggered, thrashing. The arena shook as it tried to throw her off. Mara's arms screamed in protest. Her vision blurred for a moment. She did not let go. Seconds stretched. Finally, the brute collapsed to one knee, then fell forward heavily. The ground trembled as its body hit the floor. Mara rolled free just in time. She landed on her side, gasping, her chest burning. She stayed down for one heartbeat, and then two. Then she pushed herself up. The brute lay still, breathing slow and heavy, no longer attacking. A clear tone echoed through the arena. Phase 2 complete. For a moment, no one spoke. Then the arena erupted. Not with laughter, with shock. The judges stared in silence. One of them finally spoke, voice lower than before. "She neutralized it," they said. With no weapons, Mara stood unsteadily but upright. Her arms trembled slightly, but she did not hide it. She looked up toward the judges, sweat dripping down her face. She said nothing. She did not need to. The message was already clear. Weapons were forbidden. But humans were not helpless without them. Phase 3 was waiting. The arena did not celebrate. There were no cheers, no sounds of joy. Only a deep, uneasy silence followed Mara's victory. The Graxan brute was slowly pulled beneath the floor, its massive body disappearing into the dark metal below. Mara remained standing. Her legs shook slightly now. Arms felt heavy, almost numb. Every breath burned her chest, but she kept her posture straight. She had learned long ago that showing weakness invited more pain. Above her, the judges watched closely. "Phase 2 is complete," one of them said. "The human remains functional." Functional. The word spread through the crowd. Some aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Others stared without blinking. The lights in the arena changed again, turning cold and white. "Phase 3 will now begin," another judge announced. The floor beneath Mara transformed once more. The smooth metal surface broke apart into long, narrow paths, separated by low walls and open spaces. The design was confusing, meant to hide movement and limit sight. Mara took a slow step forward. She felt something else now. She was not alone. A soft hiss echoed somewhere nearby. Then another. Shapes began to move between the walls. "They are releasing multiple units," a judge said calmly. "Predatory types. Fast. Coordinated." The crowd reacted instantly. Multiple enemies. No weapons. No rest. "This is too much," one alien whispered. "No single being can handle this," said another. Mara lowered her center of gravity. She loosened her shoulders and rolled her neck slightly. Her eyes followed the shadows, tracking movement without focusing on any single target. 3 creatures emerged at once. They were lean, low to the ground, with long limbs and sharp joints. Their eyes glowed faintly as they spread out, surrounding her. They did not charge. They waited. Mara moved first. She ran toward the nearest wall, not away from the creatures. One lunged immediately, leaping with speed that surprised even the judges. Mara turned sharply and struck upward with her forearm, deflecting the creature's momentum. It crashed into the wall instead of her, stunned for just a second. That second mattered. She followed with a short, precise strike to the side of its head. The creature collapsed, unmoving. The others attacked at once. Mara dodged left, then right, using the walls to limit how many could reach her at the same time. One creature slashed at her back, grazing her shoulder. Pain flared, sharp and hot. She did not slow down. She grabbed the attacker's limb mid-swing, twisted hard, and used its own speed to throw it into another creature. Both hit the ground in a tangled heap. The crowd was no longer silent. "She is controlling the fight," someone said in disbelief. "She is using the terrain," another whispered. The third creature recovered quickly and rushed her from behind. Mara turned too late. It slammed into her, knocking her to the ground. The impact knocked the air from her lungs. For a brief moment, everything blurred. The creature raised its limb to strike. Mara reacted on instinct. She brought both hands up, catching the limb inches from her face. Her muscles screamed as she pushed back, her arms trembling under the force. Slowly, painfully, she shifted her grip. Then she struck. Her head snapped forward, hitting the creature squarely. It recoiled, stunned. Mara rolled away, came back up on one knee, and drove her elbow into its joint. The creature collapsed. Mara stayed still for a moment, breathing hard. The arena was quiet again. Tone sounded. "Phase 3 complete." Mara rose slowly to her feet. Blood ran down her shoulder now, but the wound was shallow. Her hands were shaking openly, but she did not try to hide it. Above, the judges spoke in lower voices among themselves. "She adapts faster than expected. She fights without hesitation. Her hands are sufficient." The last words hung heavily in the air. Mara looked up. "Is there more?" she asked. The judges paused. "Yes," one answered. "There is one final phase." The lights dimmed to near darkness. The walls around the arena began to shift, opening into a single wide space. "This final phase," the judge continued, "will decide the outcome of the trial." Mara tightened her fists once more. She was tired, she was injured, but she was still standing. Weapons had been banned, so she had become one. The arena transformed one final time. The walls pulled back and vanished into the floor, leaving a vast open space. The ceiling lights dimmed until only a single white glow remained above the center. The air felt heavier again, but this time not because of gravity, because of attention. Every eye in the arena was fixed on Mara. She stood alone in the light. Her breathing was slow, but uneven. Blood stained the sleeve of her gray suit. Her hands were swollen and red, her knuckles bruised. Each small movement reminded her of pain she could not ignore anymore. Still, she did not sit. High above, the judges rose from their seats. Their massive forms were fully visible now, no longer hidden behind barriers. This final phase, one judge said, is not about strength. The crowd grew quiet, is not about speed or endurance or survival. Mara lifted her head slightly. This phase, the judge continued, is about truth. A low sound moved through the audience. Confusion, curiosity. The floor beneath Mara shimmered, and a tall, thin figure appeared across from her. It was not a creature, not an opponent. It was a projection. The image shifted, changing shapes again and again. Human cities, alien worlds, battles, councils, treaties broken, warnings ignored. You are here, another judge said, because the galaxy fears humans. The words were not loud. They did not need to be. You adapt quickly. You endure harsh worlds. You fight without hesitation. With weapons, you are unstoppable. The projection paused on an image of Earth's blue, scarred, alive. So he asked a question, the judge said. Are humans dangerous because of what they build, or because of what they are? Mara said nothing. The projection changed again. It showed humans helping one another through storms, carrying the wounded, standing between danger and those who could not defend themselves. The crowd watched in silence. You were brought here to answer that question, the judge said, not with words, but with action. The projection vanished. The light above Mara dimmed further, until she and the judges were the only clear shapes in the arena. One judge stepped forward. You may Mara Hell. You have shown strength without weapons, control under pressure, mercy when possible. Another judge's voice followed. But strength alone is not what frightens us. Mara finally spoke. Her voice was rough, but steady. You're afraid we won't stop. The crowd reacted softly. The judge did not deny it. Many species lost themselves to power. Mara nodded slowly. So did we. That surprised them. We fought wars that nearly ended us, she continued. We hurt our own world. We learned the cost. Her hands trembled slightly as she lowered them. That's why we train. Not just our bodies, our limits. One judge tilted their head. And when those limits fail, Mara met their gaze. Then we answer for it. The arena was completely silent now. The judge spoke again. If weapons were returned to you, what would you do? Mara did not answer right away. She looked down at her hands, bruised, bloody, empty. Then she looked back up. I would use them to protect, she said. Not to prove something, not to rule. A pause. And if the galaxy still fears you? The judge asked. Mara took a slow breath. Then we'll keep showing you who we are. The judges did not speak for a long moment. Finally, one of them raised a limb. The final phase is complete, they announced. Low tone echoed through the arena, different from the others. Deeper, final. The crowd erupted, not in noise, but movement. Creatures leaned forward, some stood. Some looked away, unsettled. The judges turned to face the audience. The trial was meant to weaken the human, one judge said. Revealed something else, another added. Humans do not need weapons to be dangerous, the third finished. No. Nor to be honorable. The word spread like fire. Mara felt her knees weaken for the first time. She stayed standing through pure will. The judge turned back to her. The verdict will be announced shortly, they said. But know this, human. Mara waited. You have changed the question this trial was built upon. The light above her dimmed completely, and in the darkness, the galaxy waited for its answer. The darkness did not last long. Soft light slowly returned to the arena, spreading outward from the center. The crowd came back into view, thousands of faces, none of them laughing now. The judges stood tall, silent and still, as if the weight of the entire galaxy rested on their decision. Mara stood alone beneath the light. Her legs felt weak. Her arms ached. Every breath reminded her how close she was to collapse. Still she kept her head up. She had not come this far to bow now. A deep tone echoed through the arena. The judges began to speak one by one. This trial was created to limit, the first judge said, to expose weakness, said the second. To confirm fear, finished the third. They paused. But instead the first continued. It revealed restraint. Adaptation, said the second. And choice, the third added. The crowd stirred. Some aliens shifted nervously. Others watched Mara with something new in their eyes. Respect. The first judge addressed the arena. Weapons were banned because we believed humans were only dangerous when armed. The judge turned to Ward. Mara, you proved otherwise. Mara did not react. She simply listened. You endured pressure designed to break you, the judge said. You fought without rage. You survived without cruelty. Another judge stepped forward. Many species fail this trial because they panic when stripped of power. Mara remembered the creatures falling into darkness, the brute collapsing, the predators hesitating. You did not, the judge said. You adapted. The arena was silent enough that Mara could hear her own breathing. The third judge raised a limb. Therefore, the verdict. The word echoed.
You and Mara hail,
the judge said. You have passed the trial of balance. For a heartbeat, nothing happened. Then the crowd reacted. It's not with cheers. Some aliens stood. Others whispered urgently. A few stared at Mara as if seeing her for the first time. Mara closed her eyes for a brief moment. She had passed. The judges were not finished. This verdict does not grant dominance, one judge continued. It does not grant control. Mara opened her eyes again. It grants recognition, the judge said. Humanity will not be classified as a weapon species. The words hit harder than any blow. A wave of reaction moved through the arena. Instead, the judge said, humans will be recognized as a survival species. The title carried weight. It meant respect. It meant caution. It meant equality. The judges turned fully toward Mara. You may leave this trial, one said. May accept protection under the council. Mara shook her head slowly. I don't want protection, she said. The crowd reacted again, surprised. The judge tilted their head. Then what do you want? Mara looked around the arena one last time, at the aliens who had feared her, at the judges who had tested her, at a galaxy that now watched closely. I want understanding, she said. Not walls, not chains. Her voice was tired, but it did not shake. We came here without weapons, she continued. It wasn't weakness. It was a choice. The judges were silent. Finally, one of them spoke. Then go, human. The light around Mara brightened. The barrier at the edge of the arena opened. You have shown the galaxy enough for one day. Mara turned and walked toward the exit. Each step hurt. She did not look back. As she reached the edge, the judges spoke one final time, their voices carrying across the arena. Let this trial be remembered, not for the banning of weapons, one said, but for the day the galaxy learned, another continued. That human hands were never empty, the third finished. The doors closed behind her. The arena slowly emptied, but the silence remained. Weapons had been forbidden, and the galaxy would never forget what happened when a human girl entered the trial with nothing but her hands and walked out having changed everything.